Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review video. Today we will be looking at Se7en, a noir film released in 1995, written by Andrew Walker and directed by David Fincher, whose other work most famously includes movies like The Zodiac and Fight Club. Se7en is one of those movies that is simple yet complex. It is dark yet light. In my opinion, it is one of the most perfect films who have ever come out of the 90s. Now, before we dive in, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. So I'm doing this video a little bit different than I've done my other movie reviews videos. I'm going to be doing like a brief summary with a little bit of my commentary in it. Kind of reminiscent to a channel called Dead Meat. It's one of my favorite, movie channels. But since this is a horror-esque movie, I was going to kind of loosely follow their video breakdown kind of a thing. Our story follows Detective Somerset, played by Morgan Freeman, who is 1 week from retirement. Why is it always 1 week? Somerset gets partnered with a hotshot detective named David Mills, played by Brad Pitt, who recently moved to the city with his wife Tracy, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. You'd probably recognize her from being Iron Man's wife, fiance thing, that whole love thing. One thing that is very important about this film is timing, keeping in line with the 1 week of retirement kind of a thing. Although he does later on ask for a little bit more time to solve this case. But anyways, on Monday, Somerset and Mills investigate an obese man forced to eat until his stomach burst and uncover the word gluttony written on the wall. The first time I watched this movie, I thought it was the coldest opening to a movie I'd ever seen. Granted, I was only 8, but still, it was a really, I don't know, it was just one of those movies that always made me super creeped out at the very beginning. And there wasn't really much of a build-up. It just started off gritty. The following day, the second victim, Greed, is found, having been forced to cut a pound of his flesh from his body, which I think highly influenced the Saw trap pound of flesh. Either that or the direct correlation with, the biblical mumbo jumbo in Saw 6, which came out in 2009. Anyways, clues at the crime scene lead Somerset and Mills to the Soth victim, a drug dealer pederast, which is a pedophile, who, through a sheer act of either God or the devil, is still alive, but only barely. Photographs reveal that this victim was restrained for exactly 1 year from when Somerset arrived. Somerset surmises that the murders have been based off of the 7 deadly sins, hence the title Se7en. We then take a break from, the mayhem of the hunt of the killer and have a really touching, super grounded scene where Tracy invites Somerset over and they have dinner together, and the two detectives, whom until this point really kind of were butting heads, come together and talk. One of those aforementioned touching scenes and uplifting scenes, the light part of the movie, which is followed by a super not so happy scene of Detective Somerset telling Tracy of the time that he convinced his former girlfriend to abort instead of raising a kid in this city, just because he felt that this city was too broken to raise a child in. Somerset then goes on a research montage, backed by some classical music. I might not put classical music behind this, but he started checking out books based off the 7 deadly sins, leading up to the pair of detectives finding the apartment of John Doe, because he had also checked out all of those books, which leads to a nice rainy chase scene where we have one of those rare moments in cinema history where we get to watch Brad Pitt get his ass beat and John Doe manages to escape. The police investigate John Doe's apartment, finding a large amount of cash, hundreds of notebooks revealing Doe's psychopathy, and photos of some of the victims, including images of Somerset and Wells. On Saturday, Somerset and Mills investigate the fourth victim, Lust, a prostitute who was raped by a custom made bladed strap-on by a man held at gunpoint. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This scene where the man is being interrogated is hard to watch. It is hard to watch for the squeamish. It's extremely well acted by the man's actor, Leland Orser. Correct me if I'm mispronouncing that. He truly seems horrified from what he was forced to do. And I believe we never really found out if the lady was ever alive or dead, but it's just one of those scenes where you're like, this is a little too well acted.
Then he told me to fuck her. And I did. I fucked her. Oh God, oh God, oh God, he had a gun in my mouth. The fucking gun was in my throat.
The bride victim, who is the next victim, is found the following day. She's a model who took her own life rather than living with a disfigurement that John Doe had done to her face. Which, putting as simply as I can, is very sad and something that I think is a direct correlation or nod to people's, like, in real life doing these kinds of things to themselves. And to think that you'd rather be dead than have your beauty, you start to wonder why John Doe is targeting people of really victims of themselves. As Somerset and Mills return to the police station, Doe arrives and turns himself in. He threatens to plead insanity at his trial, potentially escaping punishment. Although if you know just about anything about the insanity plea, you'd know that that would fail, since the insanity plea is all about people who were not consciously acting in violent manners. They're for people. The insanity plea was created to help people who have gone insane, where John Doe is fully aware of what he's doing and his actions and everything about that, so that the insanity plea wouldn't work. But since it's a movie and stuff, the Mills and Somerset escort the John Doe to an undisclosed location where they will find envy and wrath. They basically go along with his plan. And during the drive, Doe explains that he believes he himself was chosen by God to send a message about the ubiquity of the apathy towards sin, which in layman's terms is he basically wanted to prove to God and the world that sin is so aggressive in this city that it's basically become normal everyday life. At the location, a delivery van approaches. Somerset intercepts the delivery vehicle and opens a package the driver was instructed to deliver to Detective Mills. Horrified at what he finds inside, Somerset tells Mills to put his gun down. Doe reveals that he himself represents envy and Detective Mills represents wrath. Doe says he envied Mills' life, his wife, and he implies that the package contains her severed head. He urges Mills to become Wrath. Despite Somerset's pleas, Mills shoots Doe to death, allowing Doe to win in the end. Like most things in reality, the bad guy won, and the movie ends with a narration by Somerset.
Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
Alright, so my thoughts on this movie. This movie, putting it simply, is dark, and certain ideals and ways of life are really brought into question. Not to mention the mental illness factor of this whole thing. I feel like this movie is a perfect representation of what happens when a religious fanatic with some pretty hardcore psychopathic tendencies is pushed over the edge. John Doe is, though he says he's killing because God told him to kill, it's very clear that he's taking pleasure in killing these people. And it's really sad to think about what could have happened in the end if Mills hadn't killed Doe. What if, by some sick twist of fate, Doe had gotten off on the insanity plea? Though Mills let Doe win, I really think it ended in a stalemate, not a straight up win for Doe. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't know if I could have not killed Doe in that situation if somebody had done something to hurt Sheridan. I genuinely don't know what I would have done. I think this movie shows us that though the world is filled with sick, twisted, demented people, that there are things worth fighting for in the end. And this movie kind of gave Somerset, a reason to keep fighting the evil in this world. So I don't think he actually retires at the end. I think he continues working in the police force, which will loosely lead me to my score of the movie, which is a solid 9 out of 10. This film has some really, really amazing shots, and honestly, the plot is very basic. It's just a classic detective killer movie show thing, but it's so well acted that the actors truly carried this movie. And if my words don't do it, then the budget to what it made profit-wise really does. I mean, the movie had a budget of $34 million and made $327.3 million in the box office. It did a fantastic job because it was a good movie. Now, I know this movie was much darker than other movies that I've done, but I really and truly love this movie. It's one of those movies that with each time you watch it, you're able to see new things. The mistakes and clues that the killer leaves behind. I love the rainy and gritty cityscape. It's somehow, it feels homey for some reason. And I don't know why, because I've only ever lived in one big city, and it was not rainy there. So I don't know why it does. Maybe it's the rain. I love rain. Now, I think this movie will kick off a series of horror and or suspense movies that I'll do in the future. If you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments. And with that, I think it concludes us. Be sure to leave a like if you liked, and subscribe for more videos like this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
What's in the box?
Not till you give me the
What's
gun.
in the fucking box?
Give me